Along. Now this weekend in the UK it is Father's Day on Sunday, so I thought I'd create some very Father's Day centric recipes that they will absolutely love. And to be honest, dads love the Great British Banger. So I thought three recipes, different recipes using sausages. I'm using Cumberland sausage because I live up in the Lake District. We're going to do breakfast, lunch and dinner. It's going to be fab. So breakfast. First of all, I've got some wild mushrooms here. They're dried. So what we're going to do is we're just going to soak them in a little bit of boiling water. And this will just hydrate them. Don't put much water in because we'll have to squeeze the water back out. But because they're dried, they intensify mushrooms when they're dry and they taste really meaty and beefy. And the idea is we're going to make the perfect English breakfast sausage roll. So, mushrooms, tomatoes, bacon, black pudding, sausages, and ketchup or brown sauce, all in a sausage roll. Sounds good, doesn't it? Fancy that, Emily?
Yeah, it sounds really good.
Right, so we're going to start with sausages first, okay?
Can you move them to little balls, Pete, if you don't mind?
Yes, of course. No problem. Just all out of the way. So I've got Cumberland sausage here, my personal favourite. It's got more seasoning, more spice in it. All you need to do, let me show you this, Emily. Can you see this sausage here? Yeah? Using a sharp paring knife, just score it down the long side and just unwrap it out of the skin. And that's it. Get rid of that bit. And I've already done the others, so they are just ready just to go straight into the bowl. Okay, so that's our sausage. Now, black pudding. Some of you will love it, some of you will hate it. Are you a black pudding?
Yeah, over the past few years I started to enjoy it.
This is berry black pudding, so it's in that little significant shape. Very iconic. Some people call it a blood sausage. It's there in the English breakfast, so it's going in our sausage roll. So, say half of that, and then again I'm going to score it as we did with the sausages and just remove the casing. Okay, that's it. If you don't like black pudding, or your dad, if you're making it for your dad, doesn't like it, don't put it in. Swap it out for haggis. Love haggis. So let's dice this into small squares. Okay. I actually came across a vegetarian black pudding the other day. Not quite sure what's in that.
I was going to say, I wonder what's in that.
I don't know. But maybe beetroot juice, maybe, I don't know. So, nice fine little cubes. Don't blitz it up too much because I think you want to see the little bits that are in it. So, cube there. Now I've got some smoked bacon. Now pancetta, it's smoked and streaky this because I think it'll give more flavour and it'll give us that really sort of nice salty smoky flavour. So we're just going to chop that up into little bits. Would your dad like this?
I think he would. He'd like to.
Do we think one of these is going to be going out the back door?
Yeah.
Right. Look what I made you, Dad.
Yep.
Right, in with the bacon. Now, tomatoes, you get tomatoes on an English breakfast. Now, the problem with tomatoes in this recipe is they're full of water, and water would be our enemy for the pastry. So what I've gone for is sun-dried tomatoes in oil. So we get that nice tomatoey tang. And we're just going to chop these up into little pieces. And that means you'll get that sort of nice little hint of tomato in there, but it won't be like full on. If you put tomato puree in, it's just, you'll get the same taste all the time, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. Trying to get the distinctive, iconic flavours throughout this recipe. So, now if you want this recipe, go to cookserveandenjoy.com and you'll find it there, along with all the links to our equipment that we use here. So, can you see those mushrooms, Emily?
Oh yeah.
They're all starting to soak up and it's almost really meaty, its flavour. Mushrooms, when they're dried, they get really intense and really savoury. So, I'm just going to squeeze the moisture out But don't throw this liquid away because it is so good, all right? We don't need it for this recipe, but you could definitely use it in other cooking. If you just, if you're making a stew, a soup, a sauce, that's going to give you a really intense mushroomy flavour. Even freeze it and bag it and freeze it. So, mushrooms are nice and soft now. Now, if you can't get dried mushrooms, get fresh mushrooms, cook them, get all the water out and evaporated, let them cool down and do the same there. But don't just put raw mushrooms in because they've got too much water. Okay? So, let's chop these. Love dried mushrooms. Hated mushrooms as a kid until I discovered wild mushrooms. And they're just a different ballgame, they really are. Okay, and in we go with those. Right. So, we have now got our mushrooms in there. Now, time to get your hands in and just start mixing this and getting all those flavours together. So these would make really good burgers. Really good burgers for the barbecue. Full of flavour. Okay, so everything is now mixed together.
You know, the one thing you're missing from an English breakfast sausage roll, Pete? Baked beans.
Oh. Baked beans should be removed from a breakfast. Period. Full stop. The end of my conversation. I've refused consciously to put them in. You can have them on the side if you need them. But it's not going in my recipe. I was hoping you would pick up on that. Right, but puff pastry. Okay, so we're just going to unravel this.
Can you use short crust?
You can. It's a little bit heavier for a sausage roll, but if that's what you prefer, that's what you use. I'm just going to get a little bit of flour. It's a bit warm in the studio today. And I've got ready roll just because we're doing 3 recipes today, so we didn't want it to take too long, but you could roll it out yourself into these rectangular shapes. So very carefully, very gently, I'm just going to run my knife and cut this pastry in half, okay? That's it. Don't want to cut the worktop. Okay, so now we just take our breakfast sausage mix and then we just divide it down the middle and just run it down. And if you like loads of filling, you're going to put a bit more in, but I think just a nice line straight down the middle would make for a good sausage roll. There we go. And let's do the other one. Now, in this kitchen, there has been a little bit of an argument with me and Emily over red sauce or brown sauce. So, ever the diplomat I am, we'll do one of each.
Red sauce is better.
Red sauce or brown sauce? Put your comments below in the feed. I am a brown sauce man.
I am a red sauce lady. Red sauce all the way.
No, it's just sweet and horrible and yuck. No ketchup, no red sauce. Right, so now we need all breakfasts need an egg. So we're going to crack an egg. Unfortunately, the egg is only to stick the pastry together. So, and make it lovely and golden and crisp and looking delicious. So, we're just going to brush the far side of the pastry, okay? You see all this, Emily?
I can.
Liking the look of this recipe?
Absolutely. It looks good.
It's going to be good.
Be even better when you put that red sauce.
Can't believe you're making me do this. Right, so it's kind of ketchup.
It's good ketchup. It is good
This
ketchup.
is so what? Oh dear. What we've got is a really nice artisan ketchup that's locally made. It's not Heinz. Draw the line at Heinz. Okay, so
You can smell the garlic in that one.
it is. It's a roasted garlic ketchup. So this is as red as I'm gonna get.
You'll thank me.
I won't. I'll be on the brown sauce ones, me. Right, so there we go. So all we're going to do is just spread a little bit of ketchup along the top of that one, and then we'll get serious now. Brown sauce. Let's do it properly. This is actually it's a Cumberland sauce, so it's kind of a fruitier brown sauce, but brown sauce all the way for me. Look at that. Now it's starting to look like a breakfast sausage roll, even. Okay, so all we need to do now is take the near side of the pastry, and we're just going to turn them over, okay? Tuck the pastry in around the sausage mix and just roll it over, alright? Now the great thing about this recipe is they will freeze as well from raw, and they'll bake and cook from raw. So you could get like double of these done, put them in the freezer, and then you've got them for any occasion. Great for a picnic this summer, getting out and about. You could put mustard in them, you can put ketchup in them, brown sauce, bit of onion chutney, you could do what you like really. I'm going to mix them all up and Emily will never know the difference.
No, you can't do that to me.
Right, so let's just clear up any of the excess away. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the brown sauce ones. So I'm going to use the back of my knife, not the cut bit, and just press down like that. Okay, so now we know that they're good. In fact, if I go the other way as well, we know that the ones that look really, really good are the ones with brown sauce. And then we'll just do that with the red every so often. What would your dad have? Brown or red?
I reckon he would have brown, you know.
See? Need I say more? Now, what are we going for? Big, small, medium?
Medium. You don't want them bite sized, but you don't want them too big.
Now we're going big. There we go.
Yeah.
Big enough that you could almost justify two.
Yeah, exactly that.
So, let's just pop them straight onto our Masterclass Smart Ceramic Baking Tray. These will not stick on these, which is why we use it. They've got an amazing silicone coating.
Can you just bring the tray around here so we can see it?
Yeah, here.
Perfect.
So they've got an amazing ceramic coating which allows them to not stick. So brilliant for baking. Absolutely perfect for this job. The oven is preheated. I'm ready to go, so let's just wipe that clean and we'll get these egg washed and into the oven. So just nice quick brush on the top. Now like I said before, at this point you could freeze these and bake them from frozen if you wanted to. So they're really versatile. It's worth making a few extras if you don't need that many. And just serve them warm. They are so good. Okay, into the oven. 170 degrees for about 20-25 minutes till they're really golden and crisp. And just be careful when they come out of the oven because they will be really hot in the middle. You'll be tempted, but just be careful. Okay, Father's Day to be continued, part 2 now. What I want to do is show you how to make a really beautiful Tuscan flatbread topped with a tomato, olive, fresh basil salsa. It's kind of like a pizza, but not as you know it. But all the elements of this will help you make better pizza, I promise you. It all starts with one of these. So these are the Crusty Bake, aren't they, Emily? Crusty Bake pizza trays from Masterclass. They're brilliant because they are perforated, so all the air gets underneath them, and it helps with a much crispier pizza if you haven't got a pizza oven.
If you just put it on the
bench
pit, there we go.
Alright, so all these holes just really help make a better pizza. So, I have got a basic bread dough here, okay? It is 500 grams of strong flour, 1 sachet of dried yeast, which is about a teaspoon, 10 grams of salt, 300 mils of water, mix it all together, knead it, leave it in a bowl, and that is what you have, alright? I've done so many recipes on how to make bread dough, so you're bound to be able to find it. Didn't want to bore you with that again. So I'm going to put that to one side. Now, to make our tomato sauce, this is a really good tip for you, alright? Tin of cheap supermarket tomatoes into a sieve, alright? And we're just going to let that get rid of. See all this that's coming through that? See that, Emily?
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
It's the water from
It's just water. they're sneaky. They put water in it so it weighs more so they can make more money. All right? So we're going to get rid of the water, which is just going to leave us with
The pulp.
just tomatoes.
See, I do listen.
I know you do. I know you're listening. I know. Somebody should listen to me. Right, let's just get rid of that liquid. So we don't want that water. All I want is that. Can you see that, Emily?
Yeah.
You see how dry it is now? It's not, it's just tomato flesh. Alright? Which means it's going to taste the tomatoes, which is what we want. Okay, so I've got a little clove of garlic. This is the simplest way to make a really light, fresh, summery tomato sauce. Alright? So extra garlic in there for curry. So a little bit of dried mixed herbs or oregano, okay? Depending on what you can get hold of. To be honest, there's a lot of oregano in those anyway. And then we want extra virgin olive oil, okay? Because this is for flavour and sort of texture. It's about a tablespoon in there. And then we're going to season it. So we want a little bit of black pepper in there. A little bit of salt, okay? Lovely. Right, and that's it. That is our tomato sauce. It's fresh, it's clean, it's flavoursome, and it's all about the tomatoes. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It's just all of dilution is gone. So it's a myth. You can use supermarket own brand tin tomatoes. You just need to get rid of that water, and then you'll have that lovely flavour. Let's put that to one side. And let's concentrate now on our sausage filling, okay? So we're going to Tuscany with our filling. And with Tuscan food, they love fennel, chilli and garlic together. And they make a regional salami called finacuna, which is like a Tuscan fennel salami. It's amazing. I could eat my own body weight in it if I was given the chance. Love it. So we're going to take inspiration from that. And we're going to take our Great British sausage, cut it out of its skin, okay? I've done all of these, so I'm just going to put them all in there. Can you see this all right, Emily? Do you want me to move camera?
A little bit this way.
A little bit that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, happy with that? Right. So we're now going to just bring the flavours together. So we've got fennel seed, okay? A lot of you will have this in the cupboard and have not used it. Get it out. If you've got fresh fennel in the garden growing, cut the tops off and use those. Delicious. Okay, so we've got a little bit of garlic again. So a little bit of garlic in there. You can make amazing meatballs out of the leftovers of this as well. Garlic, and then parmesan for seasoning and richness, okay? So I'm just gonna grate my parmesan. You want a really fine grater on this, so I'm using the plane for it. But you could, if you're using a box grater, just use the fine side. Okay, now this is going to throw you a little bit, Emily. Ricotta. Oh. Nearly fell off a stool then. Ricotta cheese is going to lighten this up, so it takes it from sausage meat flavoured to a softer, more delicate topping. Okay? Now, last thing, it needs a little bit of oomph. Alright, so we're going to add a little bit of red chilli to it. Okay?
Can we just watch the bowl, please?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, open your chilli out. Remove the seeds carefully. You could use chilli flakes if you wanted to. You could add a bit of chilli oil if you've only got that as well. So, I'm just going to dice the chilli into really little pieces. I think my dad would like this one. My dad would definitely like this on breakfast sausage roll because Mum makes him have porridge every day because he's 70 and that's what 70-year-old men seem to have every day for breakfast is porridge. But he would love that and I think he'd be all over this. Right, in with our red chilli. I'm not going to season it because the sausages are seasoned. The cheese has a sort of slight saltiness to it with the parmesan. So all we're going to do is just sort of mix it all together. Okay? And the ricotta is really going to open this out and make it sort of a little bit creamy, rich, delicious, and the perfect counterbalance to what we're going to do with the pizza and the salad on the top. It's almost a little bit Turkish flatbread this as well, where they would normally do it with lamb. We're doing it with pork sausages. So, once that is mixed, we will put that to one side as well. So I think we're about ready to roll. Okay, get this in the oven. So, a little bit of flour on our worktop. Okay, now a 500 gram batch of dough, which we've got there, is easily going to make 4 or 5 portions. Okay, definitely make, you know, 4 big adult sized ones. It will make more if you've got the little tiddlers as well. So all I've done is just divide it by 2 and then divide it by 2 again. Okay, so I'm just going to move these over to one side because I'm just going to show you how to make one. So once you've got a ball of dough, okay, just roll it in your hand. So can you see that all right, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I get a nice ball. So I'm just kind of moving it around and then press it into the flour and then just press it down and turn it, okay? And what we're going to try and do is create a sort of almost like a round pita bread to begin with. So you run your fingers and your thumbs round the edges and the weight of it sort of stretches it out. Okay, so once we're at that stage, grab a rolling pin. And it's important that you begin with the shape you want to finish with. So it's round and this is round, okay? So roll forwards and backwards and then turn it from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Do the same again, roll backwards and forwards and turn. Okay, there we go. Roll and just keep it moving, all right? That's the secret, is lift it, turn it, always wants to move about. The minute it can't move, you're in trouble. So just keep it moving, keep it flexible. Grab your tray, right, yeah, I can see by the time that kind of shrinks down a little bit, just open that up a little bit, but you can see that's flexible and it's moving. All right. Time for a bit of coffee, I think. Right, so if you want to transfer a pizza dough like this, fold it in half. Fold it in half again, so into quarters. Bring your tray in, and then you've only got a small piece to lift up. Can you see that all right, Emily?
Yeah. Yeah?
And then unfold it in half. And then unfold it again. Look at that! Genius. Okay? And because, can you see under there, Emily?
Yeah.
Because we've got those holes, it's not going to stick because the air's going to get underneath it. Normally when you put it on a traditional tray, it will steam in the middle because there's nowhere for the moisture to go. Whereas with this, you get a nice crispy base. Okay, so we're almost ready for the oven now. What we're going to do is going to take some of our Tuscan sausage meat and I'm just going to use the back of my spoon, and because we've used the ricotta, it spreads, okay, and it's a little bit more delicate. And we're just going to gently spread some of this on. Now you could cover it if you wanted to, or you could just put little bits here and there and everywhere. Alright, so there we go. There is our Tuscan flavoured sausage meat there. Now we take our tomato sauce and then we're just going to start to sort of sprinkle that around. Alright? There we go. So we don't want to overload this, but what I've done is try and make it so that it's got little pockets of tomato and it's got little bits of the Tuscan sauce, and then I'm just going to get a little bit of Parmesan and just pop that on there because I feel like it. Okay, and then let's grab a little bit of olive oil, just go around the edge, and that will help that crust kind of coat up and go really, really nice. And then we're going to pop this into the oven now. So this is going to take about 15 minutes at 180 degrees. What you can do if you're doing lots of these is bake it, take it off the heat, put it at the bottom or wrap it in foil, do the next one, do the next one, and do it like that. Or just, you know, you could just freeze the bases and top them. So there's loads of different options. But I'm gonna get this in the oven now. So while the flatbread's in the oven, let's make this really nice, fresh tomato sort of salad almost, if you like. So I've got a bowl at the front there. Is that all right, Emily?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got some red wine vinegar first. You could use balsamic if you wanted to, but it's quite sort of heavy and it kind of masks a lot of the flavours. So I tend to go for red wine vinegar. Extra virgin olive oil, twice as much as vinegar, just to get that kind of rounded balance. I mean, this is just a great salad, full stop. So I've got a red onion. I'm going to slice that. You could also use a shallot if you wanted to. So I'm just cutting that into slices. Alright, not too small, nice and thin. And the reason why we cut it thin is that you get a really nice rounded flavour all the way through the dish. If you do big chunks of red onion, you end up just tasting red onion. Okay? So. Right, so red onions into our vinegar and olive oil, and they'll just sort of start to pickle a little bit and just sort of take the rawness away, okay? So I've got some olives here. I've got calamatas today, but you could use any olive that you really like. And then I've got some delicious tomatoes. We've just been developing a recipe with heritage tomatoes, so I had a few left over. The recipe says just vine tomatoes and cherry tomatoes, but use whichever ones you've got, okay? So cut them in half, cut them into chunks. I mean, the beauty of this is all the tomatoes are different. I mean, look at this weird, wacky one. They're delicious. They're in season now in the UK, so have a look out for them. Each tomato offers a very different flavour, texture, different level of sort of hydration and water in there. So there's not a lot of water in these ones at all. Normally we're always taught not to eat green tomatoes, but these ones are good. And then I've got a few of these sort of vine tomatoes, chop those up, pop them in, and then I've got some lovely little golden orange, sort of, they're like an orange San Marzano tomato, so they're really sweet and delicious. I like fresh tomatoes.
Oh, I love them.
Do you? Do you have a fave? Do you have a favourite or not?
Pickled tomatoes, I find them.
Like the little tiny ones?
Yeah,
like
I like the crunch, but they've got sweetness to them as well. But I do love it when heritage tomatoes are.
My granddad always grows little orange ones. It just reminds me of my granddad so much.
Got to be, I think, if you little tomatoes have got to be crunchy.
Yeah.
Fresh.
Not too ripe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, we're going to give this a little season, if I can find my salt and pepper. So, it's important, pepper's important, I think salt is as well, but you have to remember, when you season these with salt, they will start to draw the moisture from the tomato. So what I would suggest is you don't season a tomato salad until you're about to serve it, okay? So there we go, our flatbread, I can smell it. It's almost cooked. Okay, and then we're just gonna mix these together, get everything working. This is just gonna be the perfect antidote and the counterbalance for our tomato and Tuscan sausage flatbread. So I'm going to grab a few basil leaves. I'm going to grab some now and just give them a quick little 1, 2, 3, that's it. In that goes. And then let's get this flatbread out and we'll serve it up together. So, there's our flatbread. Look at that. Can you see that there, Emily?
Oh, nice.
Now watch this tray. See? Look, that's non-stick. Okay? And that's what we want. So if I just pop this pizza flatbread onto there, and then can you see this now, Emily? Yeah, we alright? So I'm going to take the tomato salad, get a good handful of it, okay? And then just pop it on there. Oh, look, that smells so good. And then just lay it on, and I promise you, this is just the most delicious way of serving a summery flatbread pizza. You've also got extra salad there, but that is how to make my lovely Tuscan sausage and tomato flatbread. Now, time to make the most amazing sausage chili casserole for dinner. Your dad will love this one, I promise you. It's full of flavour, it's smoky, a little bit warm, it's delicious. So, first thing we're going to do is get our sausages. Now, in the recipe I've put, often in the supermarket now you find like chorizo flavoured sausages. If you see them, get them. They're really, really good. But you can just use a normal standard pork sausage, Cumberland, Lincolnshire, whatever's your favourite really. And then just get the sausages in. Let's get some colour on them first.
Did you have chipolatas? Did they work?
Yes, but what you've got to remember with chipolatas is if you're going to use those, they're going to cook much, much quicker because they're much smaller. But this is probably a bigger sausage kind of.
Robust.
Yeah. For Daddy. It's Daddy's dinner. So we're just going to get a bit of colour on those. Right, and then let's get our veggies in. So we've got red onion. Now, can you see this, Emily, where I've done this? I've peeled and cut this onion, and I've left the core on there, because if I don't leave that core on, it'll fall apart in the cooking process. So, what I'm going to do is cut it into quarters. They can go in. And then into quarters again, and they can go in. Give it a little shake. Now, red pepper. We're just going to cut the sides off the pepper and then nick its bottom off there. Just really quick, chuck everything in kind of dish this. I'd say this is probably quite a good mid-weeker as well. So in with our red pepper. Now, you could use dried chili flakes, or I'm using fresh because I've got fresh chili. You could use whichever you've got. So one red chili chopped up. In it goes. All good flavours. Right, now let's get some spices in. Now I've got cumin seeds, I've got smoked paprika, and I've got oregano here. So they're all going to go in. They are all good friends, those spices, and they'll work really well together. Now, I've talked to you about coriander before, okay? We know about coriander, don't we, Emily?
Yeah.
The stalk is where all the flavour is. That you can cook. The leaf, finish it all with a leaf, okay? Finish the dish with leaf, cook with stalk. So I'm going to chop some of the stalk up, and we're going to get that in nice and early. So nice, sliced up.
Is there any other herbs you can do that with? That you use the stalk and then...
Yeah, I mean you can use parsley stalk, mint, but coriander is the one where the flavour just flows out once you get it in there. I've never known any other herb quite like it, but it really does. I mean, you get your money's worth with coriander if you do that.
Smell it now.
Yeah. Whereas the leaf is just so dainty and delicate in comparison. It really is. So, in with our coriander. Right, now I've got a tin of cherry tomatoes here, okay? You could use chopped tomatoes if you wanted to. I just thought this would be slightly different. You just need to look in the supermarket stall area where all the tinned are. There's usually tinned cherry tomatoes as well. Or if you've got a punnet of cherry tomatoes that's looking a bit sad, bung them in instead. Alright? So I'm just going to get a bit of colour on these. There we go, right. Now, in with our cherry tomatoes. Now we're adding liquid, the frying process will stop. So you want to get the sausages coloured, looking nice, all the veggies covered, looking nice, and then you add your liquid, okay? So in with our tinned cherry tomatoes, and then in with our chicken stock. Okay. In with our washed kidney beans. So these are all quite familiar things that you would expect to find in a chili.
Is there, what could you use instead of kidney beans? If you didn't necessarily want
you could use chickpeas, you could use haricot beans, you know, if you've got a particular preference. I mean, kidney beans are quite traditional, that's the only reason why I've put them in, to be honest. But yeah, they just add a bit of goodness. You know, they've always been there, haven't they, kidney beans? Now, I have a little confession. I forgot 2 things on this recipe. Sweet potato, all right? I've got 2 sweet potatoes that are baked and soft, and I'm going to speak to the guys at Masterclass, and I'm going to make an adjustment to the recipe. I'm sorry. I have a lot of recipes in here, and I dropped the ball on this one. So, and the other ingredient is chocolate. Now, you might think chocolate, that's a bit weird, and yes, before you comment, I have very large bags of chocolate in my kitchen. This is 70% dark chocolate. So it's not a sweet chocolate, it's not like eating the chocolate particularly, unless you really, really like dark chocolate. It's for a bitterness, it's for a richness. Sorry, I got a lung full of spices, I think then. It's for a richness, and adding a little bit of dark chocolate to chilies and things like that just makes a massive difference. So when I do the update on the recipe, I'm going to say add like 2 chunks of dark chocolate. Alright? But add 1, stir it in, taste it. If you like it, add another one. Okay. I'd like to blame Emily for this forgetfulness, but it's not her fault, it's my fault. So, sweet potato. Now, when you bake a sweet potato, the skin becomes very loose, and it kind of just allows you to just peel it like that. Alright? It's really, really easy. And the skin's okay, but for this dish, it doesn't work. Okay? So all I'm doing is just peeling the skin away. It comes away really easily. You just peel it.
That's clever.
Well, yeah. Thanks. Finally. Okay, so what you can do is just blend this up with some olive oil and some garlic and coriander. Makes the most amazing dip for a barbecue. Really good. Okay, so we're just going to cut these into chunks. Not so small that they disappear and you can't see them, but do you know what I mean? Just like that. That sort of size. I just want them to soak up the flavour and just work with the sausages, alright? So there we go. All random different chunks, doesn't matter what size.
So would normal potatoes not necessarily work?
You could, yeah. I mean, they wouldn't not work. I think sweet potatoes are just nicer.
Yeah.
They work really nicely, okay? And you could use butternut squash if you wanted to, no problem. So what I'm going to do is I am using the cast aluminium 4-litre shallow dish with a lid. And you see this lid, it's got these like little dimples on. What happens is when that cooks and evaporates, it hits the top and then just drops straight back in. So I'm not going to lose all my liquid through dehydration and evaporation. I'm going to let that simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to finish it with raw spring onion. So I'm going to take away the tops, and then I'm just going to slice them on a nice angle so you get some nice big pieces of the white onion. And then I'm going to run it all the way through into the green, because the green's got bags of flavour too, and it's nearly really nice and crispy and crunchy and delicious. So that's the whole spring onion that we'll finish that with, and then our coriander. We've used the stalk, and then I'm just going to chop up a little bit of leaf, and that is like the perfect way to garnish this dish when it's cooked, because the chocolate will have given it a richness, it'll thicken it slightly, the sweet potatoes will absorb that excess moisture, and you'll just have the most amazing sausage chili bake. It'll just be delicious. Right, there you go. There are my 3 Father's Day sausage-inspired recipes. Sausage rolls for breakfast, an amazing Tuscan flatbread, and a beautiful spicy smoky sausage, kidney bean chili. All 3 recipes, absolutely amazing. Your dad will love them. Make them all for him, spoil him. Look, if you want the recipes, go to Cook, Serve and Enjoy. You will find all the recipes there, and you will also find links to all the equipment that I use in my kitchen here. Thank you very much. If you have any questions at all or any comments, please post them in the comments below. I will reply to them as soon as I can, if not straight away. And if I can't answer, the team at Masterclass will definitely be there. But thank you very much. Really appreciate your time, and thanks for joining.